Hi. Yes, this is in fact the How to Fix Costochondritis and Tietze syndrome video. We just thought we'd shoot it somewhere absolutely gorgeous. My name is Steve August, I'm a New Zealand physiotherapist. This is New Zealand. Now, costochondritis and Tietze syndrome are not mysterious inflammations that nobody understands. All Tietze syndrome is costochondritis with a bit of added swelling. It's not a different entity. The problem is that seeing it all as purely an inflammation sends doctors and non-doctors alike down a mystical search for the magic bullet that will somehow suppress this mysterious inflammation that no one understands. We don't see it like that in manual therapy where I work in New Zealand. We see it as a very simple mechanical problem and we fix it. I had costochondritis myself for 7 years. So I've had the sharp, scary chest pains, I've had the fear that it's a heart attack, I've had the difficulty breathing in, I've had the background soreness, and that lasted for 7 years. I came through physiotherapy school in New Zealand, worked out what was going on, and I fixed it. It is fixable. That was about 3 decades ago, and I can do anything physical. I have not had a twinge in 30 years. I can climb mountains. It is fixable, and it's not difficult. Before we even go any further, any chest pain should be seen urgently by your doctor. A doctor or an emergency department, they are very good at checking out anything dire like the heart, but cheeringly, up to 30% or 50% of acute chest pain is not the heart or anything else dire. So, there's a simple mechanical reason for the pain on the breastbone. If you don't realize that, then you go down a sort of a mystical search, both medicine and non-medicine, trying to find something to suppress this mysterious inflammation on the breastbone, which is there for no reason that anybody understands. So that's why the standard medical response is it's an inflammation, therefore we give you anti-inflammatories. If they don't work, we stick steroid shots into the hinge. If that doesn't work, we do stronger and stronger medications. And mostly they don't work, and there's a very good reason. Likewise, if you give up on the medical side of things because it's not working, because mostly they don't, then you go down all the gamut of non-medical approaches, omega-3, vitamin D, diet, turmeric, which is a natural anti-inflammatory, a vast range of things which are trying to suppress this mysterious inflammation which nobody understands. Now, neither of these two approaches are wrong, and they do have some help, because if you put enough medications in, you'll damp any sort of pain at all, but you do have side effects, and you still don't fix the problem. Likewise, if you're taking vitamin D, omega-3, diet, all the healthy stuff, great, it's good for you, and your body will be healthier, and it will handle inflammation better, and it will handle pain better. But both of these two approaches entirely miss the point. They're trying to treat the problem which is there. They are not treating the frozen, jammed up, stuck rib joints around the back, which are causing the problem there in the first place. Briefly, here's what costochondritis is, or certainly what very much most costochondritis is. Excuse me. A bucket. Think of your ribs like a bucket handle. They're hinged on the front around the breastbone and around the back around onto your spine. And every time you breathe, they go up and down. And every time you move around, they also move. Now, if the rib hinges at the back are jammed, and that's quite an easy thing to do, so they're frozen and not moving, the ones at the front have to work excessively just to let you breathe and move around. There's no getting past that. If the ones at the back are frozen, the ones at the front have to move excessively. And they're quite delicate hinges. They're just like little fingers of bone joining onto your breastbone. So they're moving excessively. Every breath you take, they're straining, they're getting irritated, they're getting inflamed, and welcome to costochondritis. That's what most costochondritis is. This makes it fixable, because it is no longer a mysterious inflammation that everybody is trying to suppress. It's a straightforward, mechanical, freeing up hinge problem, which manual physiotherapy and manual techniques and mechanical approach finds very straightforward to sort out. It's not difficult. That's why you get breathless with costochondritis, because the rib hinges at the back are stopping your rib cage expanding fully to take a full breath in. So breathing difficulties are common with costochondritis. So is pain around the back. Most people don't mention it. Everybody focuses on the large pain on the breastbone, but the stuck rib hinges around the back will also cause you pain roughly between your shoulder blades, that sort of area. It's all very, very consistent. One way of jamming up those rib hinges at the back is impact. Another way is lots of coughing, which is percussive impact. Surprisingly strong jolting effect on the rib joints. A common way of jamming up the rib hinges is asthma, where the rib hinges have chronically got tight over years of sucking in breath. But these days, I think we're seeing a large increase with people hunching over laptops, tablets and smartphones. It's called the eye hunch, and it's worthwhile looking at the Wikipedia article on that. But as well as the upper back hunching and getting tight and staying like that, the rib hinges also tighten up. And I think we're seeing more costochondritis these days, especially in young hunched people, just because the rib hinges have got tight enough at the back as part of the whole hunching back, that the rib hinges on the breastbone have started to strain to take up the movement. Anyway, so that's the background to it. So how do you free them up? Well, we've done a second part 2, how to fix most costochondritis syndrome video, which has got the treatment approaches on it. I'm going to mention one thing which we use in New Zealand though, because we find it's probably the best single way of fixing costochondritis and Tietze syndrome at home, mostly on your own. And it's this thing here called a Backpod. You can unlock the frozen hinges at the back. Manipulation will do that. It's like clicking the hinges free. But if you've had costochondritis for more than 6 months, around the hinges is very, very tough gristle called collagen of the ligaments and the joint capsules. Now, collagen is stronger by weight than steel wire. It's massively tough stuff. You can bang the hinges free with manipulation. That's all it does. It's like cracking your knuckles. It unlocks the hinge, and you can get dramatically good results. But on a chronic problem, they don't last because the tight gristle around them cannot be stretched out in a split second, and so it just freezes them up again. So you get that slightly mad cliche of people going to the chiropractor all the time to get the same hinges unlocked. A better answer is stretch tight collagen around the hinges, then you get a permanent solution, and you can do this at home on your own. The obvious way to do this is using a spinal fulcrum. This is some sort of object that you can lie back on, stretching you back over it, stay in that position for some time, and that stretches out the tight gristle around the frozen hinges, so the hinges free up. That is the core of fixing costochondritis. Now, there are various things available to do that with, but we found none of them worked particularly well, which is why we invented this thing. Foam rollers have a long cylindrical shape, so they spread the load of your upper back when you're lying on them too much to get much leverage on those rib hinges. All balls are unstable, so your muscles can't relax, so again you can't get a really good strong stretch. Usually only a few rib hinges are jammed in the middle of an otherwise okay moving rib cage. Therefore you have to get a specific force specifically onto those tight hinges. We built this thing in New Zealand to fill that gap. It's a thing called the Backpod. The core is polycarbonate, it's massively tough. We drove a Jeep Cherokee over one to test it for America and a BMW to test it for Europe. They were fine, so was the Backpod. If you lie back on this thing, it's stable so you don't roll around. It's not very big, so you can get an accurate focus on the ribs that need it. It's cushioned so it's not too uncomfortable, but basically it's small enough that you can actually stretch the rib hinges. Now, there are two other sources of information for this. If you have a look at the Backpod's website, which is www.backpod.co.nz. There's a whole page on costochondritis with more information. I'd recommend that. Secondly, there's a part 2, how to fix most costochondritis and Tietze syndrome video, which we put out, which has more of the specific treatment details. But that's the overview picture. If you can relate to this, you do have my sympathy. I did have 7 years of costochondritis myself. I haven't had a twinge in 30 years after I fixed it. It is scary, it is confusing and frustrating and debilitating and painful and lifestyle threatening, even though it's not life-threatening. It's a horrible, horrible condition, and what's even more frustrating than the pain is most people don't understand it. If what I've been saying makes sense, have a look at those 2 other resources I was talking about and give it a go. You have all my best wishes. Go for it. Good luck.